Let's go, it's the Whity Show.
Whity
Show. Whity Show. Whity Show. Whity Show.
Which final man that ain't got time to shake your hand? Get that style check, put it in pockets like it's back. Going downtown.
Final Fantasy XII came out in 2006, which makes me feel really old because I can remember me playing this when I was more than 10 years younger. That is sad. Anyway, let's get over the depression and talk about what Final Fantasy XII Remastered brings to the table. Back in the day, they made Final Fantasy XII the international version, which just really meant that we didn't get this version. It was only in Japan. It added a couple of new classes for the game, plus it added other features as well. Now we're getting that, but remastered in a sense they add some new things like a fast forward feature to make gameplay quicker, and also some little other things we'll get to in the review. But Final Fantasy XII is mostly disregarded. People don't really remember or bring it up. A lot of people hate it because it's such a drastic change in the gameplay department from 10. Did I like it? Well, old fans of my channel, I think you know the answer, but let's get to the review to find out if this is worth picking up for the summer drought.
Which final man that ain't got time to shake your hand? Get that style check, put it in pockets like it's back. Going downtown.
Let's talk about the combat. I think the combat is still one of the best features in this game. It is very MMO-ish, but it works really well. They have a gambit system. If you don't know what that is, basically you set an attack pattern for your characters, the other characters in your party, to fight with you. So you can have somebody always use Cure when you're under 70% health, or you can have someone use Thunder on certain enemies and target certain enemies like the highest HP or what you're targeting as the main character, and so on. So I really did like the combat. And in this game, they had something else that I'll get to in a minute that makes the combat even better. But overall, the combat is very MMO. You click and then you watch your character attack. Of course, you could click other buttons like techniques or spells to use on the monsters, but overall, it is MMO-ish more than the other games, which were up until this point mostly just all turn-based or action turn-based. The fast forward feature, which kind of adds on to the combat and what makes it better, is now you can go faster by 2. So the gameplay speeds up 2, or you can even go 4. 4 is a little too fast for me, and when you're walking it's just super zooming. It's good like if you're going from point A to point B, not so much when you're fighting. But when you're fighting, you can do 2 times the speed, making the combat go very quick. Now sure, it takes away some of the features like when your characters do combos or when you do specials, you can't see it all that well in 2 speed. However, it makes grinding so much better in this game, and it also just speeds up the game in general because this game offers a lot of areas to discover, and in that sense it's probably one of the biggest Final Fantasies because it is very similar to an MMO when it came out in terms of the vast amount of areas you can go to, which is another plus. This game is huge. I mean huge. I know some people didn't like Final Fantasy 15 for some reason. It's like the worst game ever created for some people, and I don't know why. I really enjoyed it when I played it, but people complain about towns in Final Fantasy 15. There's maybe like one major town and then a lot of small little hubs. This has a bunch of towns and cities to visit, buy stuff with, talk to people, do side missions. So this game definitely offers you so much to see, and it's just vast. I mean, there is so many different areas to see, from icy mountains to sunny beaches to freaking deserts. I mean, the game just gives you plenty to look and see and visit. And I also really did like the new customization features with the jobs. They give you a couple of new jobs, and in this game, your character basically doesn't have a set job. Yes, some characters are better suited for certain jobs, but you can really put your character at any job they want, and then you get to do a second job on them. So you have 2 jobs that you want to combine and kind of play off of each other. So in example, like you would want maybe like a paladin type of class, you would want a warrior, and then give them white magic and so on. So things like that I thought were really cool. I don't think in the original game you could mix and match. I think you just picked a class, or maybe you didn't. I can't really remember. All I know in this game, I love the feature of having 2 different classes. It balances out and makes it a lot more fun. And in this game, when you level up, you do gain more HP and MP, but it's really the license points that count in this game. When you kill an enemy, you get a license point. Certain enemies give you more license points. But what's cool about that is that you could create and build your character the way you want, thus giving you customization. I really love customization. I think this game provides quite a bit and enough to really make your character the way you want it. And then you got 5 other characters to do so. And the last good thing is I actually really thought the voice acting was solid. I don't think they redid it. It pretty much sounds like back then. It's a little wonky because now voice acting is so fluid, but it actually is better than I expected or was hoping to remember. I'm scared to play Final Fantasy X, to be honest. But what I did also like is the story themes. I love the political nature and that people die in war, and it's not from heroic sacrifice or anything. They just die because it's war. Things like that. I thought this story was a little bit more mature in that sense than other Final Fantasies, and there is no big bad enemy. Well, there is kind of, but there's no like God amongst men type of enemy here. So I really did enjoy the story for what it was, at least the themes, and the voice acting, very solid.
My apologies. You bear not the stench of Sid's lackeys.
And you are our earlier visitor.
This is a remaster and not a remake, but the graphics definitely look dated in this. A lot of places look very old and very, very pixel-like. Like, it just looked old, and I think they could have done a better job updating that. It's not a big negative, but you could definitely notice as you're going through areas. I also thought, while the story was interesting and had a lot of interesting ideas, it kind of felt like the characters you don't really fall in love with. I love Ash, but mostly because she's hot and she's also kind of cool and she's like a queen. So there's like multiple features of why I like her, but really all the rest of the cast is kind of forgettable. They have a couple of good lines here and there, but none of them really connect with you. And I also think the story suffers from pacing issues. This game is so large, and that's an issue I'm going to get to in a second, that the pacing of the story isn't that well done. You'll get a cutscene maybe every 5 to 10 hours if you're not doing the fast forward feature, and when you are doing the fast forward feature, it's maybe every like 2 hours to 3 hours, and it definitely feels like where's the story. And the last thing, this game is huge. So that is a pro. I did mention it as a pro. I love going through vast worlds. However, they give you so much that it feels too big. I was at the 60-hour mark doing hunts still and not finished with the game, and I'm just thinking to myself, this back in the day I would have loved, you know, when I didn't have a job and I didn't have other things to do. But now I was just like, man, I just want to go through the story. And it was just a struggle to get away from the hunts to do the story, because then you're a little under-leveled sometimes. So this game is a little too long in my opinion. At the 60-hour mark, you should try to be finishing the story in most video games. And then, of course, the extra stuff I won't complain about. But the story itself is freaking long. And that's with the fast forward feature. I hit like 40, 45 hours. And I was just like, I'm not done yet. I'm only like a little bit more than halfway. So yeah, this game definitely had pacing issues in terms of the single player story.
Which one, old man, that ain't got to shake your head. Get that side check, put it in pockets like it's back. Going downtown.
Listen, I love Final Fantasy XII. It is one of my favorite Final Fantasies, if not my favorite. I have to replay them all to really get to it. I think 4 is slowly creeping up to being one of my favorites of all time, but I still love 7. I still love this one. I really enjoyed 15, and I actually liked 10 for its gameplay from what I remember. However, these games are very long for me, and Persona was like a big slap in my face. It took me so long to finish because I just realized I just don't have the time. So maybe growing old is not a good indicator of why I should give this game a lower rating, but it just hit me more than it did back then. Saying that, even the issues that this game had, I still had a blast playing this game. I still think it's an amazing game. So for that alone, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. With the new added features, I think it's worth playing. Even if you played it all those years ago like I did, I think you should try it again. If you didn't like it, see if you could get into it, especially with the fast forward feature, making the combat much easier to get through for most people. I think just give it a try. If you don't like it, it's not for you, but for me, I really like Final Fantasy XII. So with that, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I still think it's an amazing RPG and worth playing for every RPG fan out there.